And I love the title of your message, Reverend Donna, Trusting and Preserving Our Humanity, which is going to be part one of the series. So everybody give a warm, loving welcome to Reverend Donna Smith.
All right, I'm not used to this, so you might have to tell me to move it up or something. Well, I had quite the drive over this morning. Many rivers crossing the road. And then I ran into that tree that had fallen. I didn't run into the tree. I came upon where the tree had fallen over the road. I had to wait 20 minutes.
Wow.
So I'm sitting in my car meditating, and then all of a sudden I heard myself singing, "Get me to the church on time." But then I was rewarded because the elk were out in full force this morning, and they just touched my heart. I love them. So, our theme this month is trust, and so I'm doing a series. I have no idea how many parts are in this series. I just go by my intuition and my guidance. But I was guided to do this because it's very important for us. Because there are things happening that really are going to change us as humans if we don't beware of that. So I want to open today with a quote from Greg Braden's new book, Pure Human, The Hidden Truth of Our Divinity, Power, and Destiny. I have that book with me if you want to see it. Greg says, there are moments in human history when we make choices that can irreversibly change the world and our lives in ways that we may regret in the future. And today is one of those moments. We now have at our fingertips the technology to alter ourselves, to rewrite the code of our DNA and the neural networks that define us in ways that once implemented can never be reversed and will forever change what it means to be human. We also live in a time when we're being told that we need to make precisely such changes to become the best version of ourselves and be successful in the world. It's the combination of these life-altering technologies merged with a narrative of our powerlessness that makes our time in history so vastly different in times past. Greg says that by the year 2030, we will, as a humanity, have made the choice between allowing technology to change us and run our lives, or awakening to our extraordinary and largely untapped human potential. And it's a choice that we all must make. We have freedom of choice. You can choose for technology if you wish. But this is why I want to share this information with you in the next few sermons, because I think that what will help us make that choice about whether we want transhumanism to prevail is very important as to how we're going to live in the future. So I want to emphasize the opening words. We owe it to ourselves to recognize the deep truth of what it means to be human before we give ourselves away to the technology now being proposed by the transhumanist movement. It's all a matter of being aware of what's going on. So the line between humanity and technology is being blurred. And so today I want to talk to you about what it means to be human. Because all of us are going to have to make this choice. Do we want to rely on technology and risk losing the activity of the powerful systems within our bodies that already can do everything technology can do? Or do we want to love, nurture, nourish, and develop to the utmost that soft technology within us and use our humanness to create our lives? My computer didn't like the word humanness, but I do. just to make you understand how incredible we are. We have 50 plus trillion cells in our bodies, which does not include the millions of microbes living on our skin. You might not want to look at those, by the way. They will not win a beauty contest. Our skin is the second largest organ in the body. In 1 square inch of our skin, whoops, sorry, I missed that. Okay, in 1 square inch of skin, which has 3 primary layers, you will find 650 sweat glands, 20 blood vessels, 60,000 melanocytes, how do we pronounce that, and 1,000 nerve endings in 1 square inch of our bodies. The small intestine is the largest organ. It is 20 feet long and 1 inch in diameter, and the large intestine is 5 feet long. That's as tall as I am. So, and we have 206 bones in our skeletal system, which protects our soft organs. I think that's incredible. But here's something I've always just found just astonishing. And the scientists and the doctors don't know how to explain it either. The heart is the first organ to develop in the womb and starts beating on its own. They can tell you how it starts beating, but no one knows why. It just starts beating. Well, there's something there that's, urging it to start beating. Now, recently there have been several discoveries that are changing the way that we look at ourselves as at our origin. And they're calling it the New Human Story. And I want to just share 3 of them with you. And I would love to share a lot more with you, and I will down the road, but I don't have time this morning. Number 1, it has long been assumed that we are a product of evolution, according to the Darwin teachings, which have never been tested or proven when it comes to humans. But we've been taught that in our schools for many, many years. Evolution is a fact for plants, animals, and insects, fish, and seashells, in the ocean. There's a lot of fossil evidence supporting all of that. However, it is not a fact for humans. There has not been any solid evidence found for the evolution of the human species. Number 2, we can now extract DNA from the fossilized remains of ancient life forms: Cro-Magnon, Neanderthal, Australopithecus, Lucy, Lucy, and can compare that DNA and genome to ours today. And so what we now know, and our scientists know this, that we did not descend from any of those. Number 3, anatomically modern humans, which is us, appeared on Earth 200,000 years ago. New information for some, right? And we haven't changed since then. Greg Braden says, I know, when I read this I thought, wow. That is a problem for evolutionary biology when it comes to humans. We showed up fully intact with everything that we have today. The same body proportions, the same brain, which is 50% larger than our nearest primates, the same heart, the same extended neural network, and scientists agree on this now. The controversy now is, how did we arrive? How do we come to be as we are today, and where do we come from? There's one discovery, of many discoveries being made, that in itself is substantial evidence for us appearing 200,000 years ago. It's called the human chromosome 2. There are over 1,200 genes. One of these genes, TBR1, is responsible for 80% of our neocortex. That means it is responsible for the uniquely human capacities such as empathy, sympathy, emotion, compassion, and the ability to self-regulate our biology on demand in a way that no other form of life can do that we know of today. It is also responsible for the mirror neurons, and those are the neurons Those are the mirror neurons. And they're also in the neocortex. These are all in the neocortex and are very important to what we call being human. The big question for scientists is, where did chromosome number 2 come from? What they have found is that 200,000 years ago, there was some tweaking of this chromosome and its 1,200 genes to give us these human qualities. And that could not have happened in an evolutionary process. They had to be intact from the very beginning. So, these chromosomes that were tweaked give us the ability of complex speech and the ability to sing. And this is why chimpanzees that share 98% of our DNA will never sing Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. Okay? They don't have that little thing that we have. So the scientists now suggest that this tweaking was done intentionally. And they even call it intentionality. Because these and many more changes happened at the same time 200,000 years ago. And some of our genes were fused, and again, with intentionality. And this implies there was a reason for this to occur. So now the big question is, who or what intended and intervened and made these changes? And all of this led to the new science of epigenetics, which I think you probably all have heard about. That means above the genes, which is showing us that we are the programmers of our genes through the environment that we create for those genes in our bodies. That's how powerful we are. Then Nick Taggart says, we're not built from inside out, from our genes outward. We are built from outside in. We're built because of our bond with our environment. If you know epigenetics, what you recognize is that our genes are essentially like the keys of a piano. They sit there quietly waiting to be played, and what plays them are environmental influences. So we're not controlled by our genes that we once thought we were. Bruce Lipton says, yeah, there's about maybe 3 or 5% of those genes that we are. You know, male, female, blue eyes, brown eyes, those kind of things. But all of the rest of our health, our happiness, we are the ones that control that. And we do that by what we feed into our bodies. So we're self-regulators. And we do this through the environment. And there are emotions, our thoughts, and our intentions. And we all know how important intention is. So we can heal ourselves. We all have sensed that. We've healed ourselves. We've seen people heal themselves. Instantaneous healing. All of that stuff is out there. We know it exists. So humans and all living things are sending and receiving information all the time. And that is how the environment affects our genes, which are also the little receivers and transmitters. We are constantly communicating with our environment. If you want some more information on that, there's Lipton's book, The Biology of Belief. So when we start to understand these relationships and remember and develop our inner soft technology, we can heal ourselves, we can stay healthy, we can be happy, and we can create the lives that we want. So what happens when we decide to give that power to technology? The chips are being implanted into that very important part of the brain that I was describing above, our neocortex. If we put chips into our neocortex, we will be in danger of losing the very beautiful, unique traits provided by these special chromosomes and genes in our neocortex that makes us human. Do we want to risk that? My concern is that many of our young people think this technology is way cool. Way cool, right? The word human, by the way, can be broken down in meaning this way. Hu is one of the oldest names of the Supreme Being. It means light and indivisible oneness. And this meaning comes to us from the ancient Egyptians, the Hebrews, and the Native Americans, the Tibetans, and the Guppies, and I'm sure more. Man comes from the Sanskrit word manas, which means mind. So putting this together, I got that the human is the light reflection of the Supreme Mind, like a ray of sun. I think we're pretty important, don't you? And this is another way of speaking about our consciousness. And as far as I know, the human consciousness is greater than the other animals and other beings on this planet that we know of today. However, I don't know. I have a dog that I think was much smarter than I was. I loved her dearly, and she knew what I was thinking all the time. Rick Braden says that there's a new paradigm that is emerging, a new philosophy which is consciousness informs itself through its creations. And we are consciousness. And to quote Greg, he says, I'm going to invite you just to think a moment. Give yourself the opportunity to really embrace what this philosophy is telling us. It's saying that the things that we build around us, the things we create, our art, paintings, sculptures, music, when we solve eloquent mathematical problems, when Hollywood creates a film, all of these things that we think maybe we're doing to entertain ourselves, or we're doing to create diversions, or they may fulfill that role, they may also be fulfilling something much deeper. Because this philosophy suggests that everything that we create is us, collective consciousness. Asking ourselves to remember something about ourselves and to stimulate the memory within us by something that we are building outside of us. So we are self-technology, and we can create anything that we want if we remember this. And with intention and attention, focus on our empowered beings. Or we can choose for all the technology outside of us, running the risk of losing our innate power. If we don't use our innate power, it will atrophy. And it could be very difficult to activate it again, or maybe even impossible. So I remember once holding in my arms next to my heart this 4-day-old baby boy. I felt his warmth, and his heart beating next to mine. Smell that sweet baby smell. I just could have stayed there forever, actually. It was so beautiful. Now, yes, the parents are going to have all kinds of challenges as they, help this young person grow and become an adult. And they're going to do that for at least 18 years and maybe more. A lot of kids are staying home now these days. I'm not a childbearing age anymore, but I would choose, if I were, all of that, all of the challenges and everything of raising a child, instead of the shelf if you get tired of playing with it. And it doesn't complain. Well, I would choose humans over that any day, as I said. In fact, now they have these, when you turn on your computer, there's these advertisements with these little bunnies for Easter. Oh my gosh, they look real. They look absolutely real. And they walk, like bunnies do. But they're robots. You can play with them, then you put them on the shelf. You don't have to worry about cleaning them after them or anything. Feeding them, watering them. I don't know, I kind of like feeding and watering my animals. So, these are kind of examples of us trying to control everything. And our egos do not like uncertainty. But if everything around us was controlled and certain, no surprises, no changes, what would be interesting?
What happened to my number 7? I have to remember 7 because,
There it is. Sorry about that. Okay. Roll it in now. In other words, what I was going to say was, what's exciting about that? What is exciting about that? How are we going to learn and grow through our relationships if they're robotic? And robots, they have no thought processes really. They certainly cannot feel love. They cannot have intentions. It's a programming to do just certain things. And they don't have any internal guidance. I rely on my internal guidance every moment of my life. So those special chromosomes and genes that we intentionally create in us long ago, 200,000 years ago, that were created in us are very important to who we are today. And if we start putting chips and everything in the neocortex, we're going to lose that. And I'm concerned. I don't get concerned too often, but I am concerned about this. I think it is something that is serious enough that we really need to know what's going on. And so that's why I'm going to do a series about all of this. Community to me is very important, and that's relationship. I have a hard time looking at myself hugging a robot. I love hugging all of you. That's just, the best thing in the world, just to hug you. And they can make robots that feel human, but they have no emotion back to them. I can feel your emotion and your love, and that's very important to me. So, if we lose these very special relationship experiences that we have, then we are just robots. And we have lost what makes us human. And so that's why I want to present this to you in the next few weeks. Because we are amazing, amazing creations. And for years and years we've been told that we're not, that we're sinners, that we're this, we're that. And that's not true. I want you to look into your heart, and I want to ask your heart, how important am I? How special am I? And listen to your heart. Your heart never lies to you. So, that was enough information for today, wasn't it? Why don't we go into meditation? So let's just get comfortable in our chairs. Close your eyes and just breathe deeply for a few moments. I want you to bring your attention to your heart. Envision breathing has for you. Feel the appreciation and joy. And from this place of wisdom, I want you to open your heart and mind to this story. It's an ancient Native American story. A very long time ago, when humans came to Earth, they knew who they were. And they lived very differently than they do today. They were close to the earth. They remembered who they were, divine beings. They remembered themselves and their relationship to the cosmos and to the earth and to each other. And then something happened. And even the old ones, the elders, don't know exactly what it is that happened. But the people gradually got lost. The peoples of the earth lost themselves and their relationship to one another, to their own lives, and to the land. And they began to wander the earth in search of that connection. They so longed to recreate that connection within themselves that they began to build outside of their bodies the things that mimic and copy all the functions that they already had inside their bodies. But they had forgotten them. They began subconsciously building a world around them that mirrored the world within them, in hopes that one day their outer creations would help them wake up and remember that inner world. So I ask that you take those words into your heart, into your mind, for a few moments of silence, and ask your inner wisdom, what this means to you and your uniqueness. I think this ancient story is very appropriate to us today. So many have forgotten their power. And when we awaken to that power, we're not going to need anything else. So let's take a deep breath and bring ourselves back into this space, this little space available to us. I really hope you understand how amazing you are. Amazing. So, I think we're going to have a class today. Are we? Is that still okay? All right, I'm ready. We're going to talk about chemicalization, and those are some uncomfortable symptoms that you experience when you're raising in consciousness because the old level does not want to go away. And so I'm going to just explain what that is and tell you some of the symptoms so you don't feel like you're getting sick. You're really not. You're just raising your consciousness. I'm also going to talk about a spiritual tool that can help you bring harmony to you in any situation and within yourself also. It's called sovereignty. And I introduced this a long time ago, but I think this is a good time to go back and refresh our minds about about sovereignty. And then we're going to go into Falling into Grace by Avia Shante, Awakening from the Egoic Trance. So I invite you to come to class after our service. And I'm going to make sure I didn't take any of Allie's things. I don't think so, Allie. Because I think I'm done.